part of the night's proceedings. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We have a really good crowd, especially given the inclement weather. We've got a very good exhibition out there of art from principally Western Arnhem Land. Tonight we're here to raise funds for the re-election of Marion Scrymgour in the seat of Arafura. The election in Darwin has been called and will be held on the 9th of August. Marion Scrymgour is now a national figure. She is one of the significant spokespeople on national Indigenous issues and has become an important contributor in the debate about the best way to proceed with, for instance, the so-called intervention. Marion, I treasure as a good friend and a colleague. My name is Phillip Boulten. I'm the president of the King's Cross branch of the Labor Party. Because of my involvement as a lawyer, I travelled to Darwin more than once, and David Dalrymple is a colleague of mine in Darwin. David is married to Marion, and over the years we've become very close, both socially and professionally. As it happens, Marion's electorate is called Arafura. It takes in Western Arnhem Land and the Tiwi Islands, and as such, just about all of the communities are remote communities, and there is absolutely no Labor Party apparatus, machine or members to speak of. So King's Cross branch has adopted Marion as our local member, and each election we try and raise enough money for her to hand out how to votes at her polling booths and to pay for the very expensive charters that are required to get around the electorate. So that's why you're all here tonight, and I trust that you've all bought some raffle tickets. The first prize is this art painting by Don Namanja, a painter from Gombalanya, and second and third prizes are Chips McAnulty
and there's one call flute.
All right, and
one of this and one call flute.
And a call flute as well, signed
and they'll be signed
by the candidate. So please dig deep. We'll draw the raffle very shortly, but we are honoured tonight to have as our opener Paul Lynch, who is the Minister for Local Government, Indigenous Affairs and Mental Health in New South Wales. And Paul has been good enough to come along to say a few words and to officially open the exhibition, and please welcome Paul Lynch.
Thanks, Phil. Can I commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Thank you for the introduction, Phil. Phil and I have known each other for a very long time, longer than we care to remember, when we were both law students, I think. And that, I must say, is an extraordinarily sobering thought. I'm delighted to be here to be part of this event. I've met Marion once when she was in Sydney. Indeed, she had a couple of days before I met her delivered the Charles Perkins oration, which was a spectacular and impressive speech. Brilliant. That I seem to recall got her into all sorts of trouble. However, the thing to remember about that is that subsequent to her giving that speech, she became Deputy Chief Minister and Bruff and Howard lost their seats. Never let it be said that democracy doesn't sometimes get it right. As Phil said, she's a national figure and in some senses a national hero. One of the things that has perhaps not been said as often as enough as it should have been, or as loudly as it should have been, is the criticism of the intervention. I'm a politician from New South Wales. I don't purport to tell people what they should or shouldn't do in the Northern Territory. But it seems to me that any involvement with the Aboriginal community that rides over the top of people, that doesn't work with communities, that doesn't deal in partnership with communities, is probably guaranteed to be a bit of a disaster. We were, of course, the only country amongst the coalition that decided to invade ourselves. And in those sorts of contexts, what Marion has done and said is very impressive. It's also completely appropriate that people in New South Wales should pay attention and support people like Marion. The Northern Territory is where mandatory sentencing started. Northern Territory is where Texter and that sort of polling and that sort of wedge politics started. There's a very direct connection between what happened up there and what's happened down here. The wedge politics of the Howard era were piloted by Texter and those sorts of techniques in the Northern Territory. So there is a very good and sensible reason why people in New South Wales would want to do things like this. There's also, and I know it's extraordinary for a state Labor minister to talk in these terms, but there's a thing called solidarity. There is actually a thing that unites us across state boundaries, across borders. There are basic principles that are important, and providing support from one part of this country to another within the Labor movement is something that's been going on since the Labor movement was founded in this country, since it was established. So what's being done here tonight comes in a very long and honourable tradition. That old saying about the unity of us all is the way that we survive, is the way that we win, is absolutely right. So it's providing support to people like Marion, to campaigns in the Northern Territory, is something that is perfectly natural and is frankly something that King's Cross branch should be very proud of. Can I congratulate the branch for having adopted as their local member, the member for Arafura. Can I thank you all for coming, and can I congratulate the people that have organised this, and can I thank you for inviting me along to say a few words. Pleasure.